Hey, welcome back to my Words of Wisdom series. This is episode number 12. My name is Rob Moore, award-winning author, leadership expert, and founder of therobmoore.com. And I help people show up, step out, and shine. That's right, show up, step out, and shine so they can perform better and become leaders who shine. And today, I want to talk about this book that I've mentioned on a couple occasions in this series, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So the words of wisdom really is this: read that book, period, in the story. Let me share with you why I believe it's so important to read this book. I've read this book a lot. I can't even remember the first time I read it. The reason why I originally read the book the first time was because I just heard about this book being talked about by so many people. People that talk to me about the book, or I heard speaking about the book, they never told me, like why I should read it and what the book is really about. They just said, listen, if there's something that you really want to achieve in your life, you need to read this book. And I heard that over and over and over and over again, but I never picked up the book. I never read the book. But something happened in my life. This was a long time ago, years. In one of the previous videos, I talked about how I was introduced to network marketing, when I was a co-manager for a retail company I was working for. And I remember I was working with an individual I recruited into the business. And I was working with him, and he had a prospect that he felt would be extremely good for the business and would do extremely well and probably make a lot of money. But the problem was he was scared to introduce the business to him. So he asked me, to introduce this guy to the business because I was fearless. I was the type of person where I'll talk to anybody about anything, period, in the story. That's just who I am. And so I called this guy up. Right? I know nothing about this guy. Nothing. All I know is that my business partner knows him, and this guy would be a very good fit for the business, supposedly. So I called this guy up, and I was like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember calling him up, telling him, who referred me to him, what was going on, and then, telling him that he might want to take a look at the business because I heard he's a good fit. Like to talk to him about it in detail, yada, 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 that type of conversation, right? And this guy goes to me, excuse me? Do you know who you're talking to? And I'm like, yes. And I said his name, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, do you know who you're talking to? He was like, I don't need to do this type of business. I have my own business. Not only do I have my own business, I'm a multi-millionaire. So I'm like, whoa, unbelievable. So the guy was pretty impressed that I called him up, because I told him about everything that was going on. But he was pretty impressed that I had the nerve to call him up, call up a multi-millionaire and introduce him to a network marketing business. So the guy was like, you know what? I really like you. And I want to help you. So this is what I would like you to do. Why don't you take me out to lunch or dinner? Take me out and I'll teach you a lot about business and success and all that stuff. And I, knowing what I know now, I should have jumped all over that opportunity. But once he told me that he was a multi-millionaire, I was a little intimidated by that. And I didn't take him up on the offer. Oh, one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my life. I didn't take him up on the offer. So we continued to have a great conversation. It was a phenomenal conversation. He was giving me, some success tips here and there. And he was like, you know what? You know what would be even better? The next best thing of taking me out would be this. He was like, I want you to go out and buy this book. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. He was like, it's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He was like, go get that book. That book is what changed my life. That book is what made me become a multi-millionaire. He was like, read that book, do exactly what that book says, and you're going to be extremely successful. And then give me a call, and you can take me out to lunch or dinner, and we'll go from there. So I didn't take him out to lunch. I didn't take him out to dinner. I don't even have his number anymore. I don't even know where it is. But I did take him up on the offer of reading this book. So I went out and got the book. Next day, right here, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Read the whole book, highlighted some things, didn't really see anything happen in my life. Read the book again, didn't really see anything different happen in my life. Read the book again and again and again, didn't really see anything change in my life. And stopped reading it. Didn't really read it anymore. But looking back at that situation and knowing what I know now, yeah, I read the book. Yeah, I read the book. But I didn't apply the information that was in the book. And I didn't read the book and study the book until I got a deep understanding of what they were actually talking about in this book. Big mistake. And still, not until like maybe a year ago that I really get serious about this book, because I went to a seminar, right? I went to the speaking seminar to learn about speaking and ramping up my speaking business to a much higher level than it already was, right? And they brought this gentleman. Matter of fact, the boot camp was it was by James Malinchak, phenomenal individual. James Malinchak Speaking Boot Camp. Highly recommend you attend. If you're interested in attending, shoot me an email, shoot me a message. I can most likely get you some free tickets to attend that seminar. But the last seminar I went to back in December of 2012, he always brings like at least 3 guests who are extremely successful people. I mean, he's had people at his boot camp like Les Brown, Jack Canfield. Trying to think. He had Brian Tracy there at one time. He had Zig Ziglar's son there. He's had all kinds of people. He had Joe Theismann there one year. He had T. Harv Eckert there one year. He brings all these phenomenal celebrities on to his boot camp. And he brought this gentleman on. His name's Lloyd Irvin. He's in the UFC. He's a trainer. Phenomenal guy. Brought him up on the stage and starts interviewing him. Just about how he became successful. What made him successful. And Lloyd Irvin dedicated he said his success came from reading and fully understanding this book, Think and Grow Rich. And he says that many people have read this book. Many people have read this book, but nothing has happened in their life because of that book. So he was like, so if your life is not exactly where you want it to be, and you have read that book, Think and Grow Rich, you don't understand it. He was like, there's 13 principles of success in that book. And he was like, do you know what those 13 principles are? Most people do. But do you understand them? Can you apply them in your life? He was like, I challenge you. What do you really want out of your life? Do you have it? Or are you close to getting it? And if you're not, it's because you don't understand that book. And if you do understand it, you're not taking action on the things that are in that book. So I thought about all the times that I've read that book. And I have to be totally honest with you. I've had a lot of success in my life, but up until that point, I did not have any success, any more success from me reading that book, Think and Grow Rich. So that conversation hit me harder than any other type of learning that happened that whole weekend. So I made a commitment right there on the spot at that boot camp. I was like, you know what? I'm going to read that book. I'm going to understand that book, I'm going to apply it to my life, and I'm going to get exactly where I want to be as fast as I possibly can. And that's what I started to work on. So once I set that attention and I put that out to the universe, you know, once you do that with anything that you want, you put something out, the universe automatically starts to put things into motion. So I started to learn that there was really more than one Think and Grow Rich. There's actually hundreds of different versions of Think and Grow Rich out there on the market. And this one right here, this is Think and Grow Rich. I believe it's for the 21st century. Yeah, this is for the 21st century version. And if you listen to what I said on the, I think it was the last video, not the last, one of the other videos that I shot, the first book that Napoleon Hill put out was Law of Success in 16 Lessons. You know, I was going to show it on the video, but it's kind of tucked away over there, so I'm not going to dig it out. But like I said, it comes in 2 volumes. Each volume's like this thick. So the book is like this thick total. And, you know, some of the most successful people on the planet read this book, especially Henry Ford read that book. And he was like, oh my God, you're giving away freaking everything. You know, if everybody gets their hands on this information, everybody's going to be wealthy, everybody's going to be rich, and everybody's going to have everything that they want. So he freaking pulled, he caused all this chaos, and this book actually got pulled off the market. And then Napoleon Hill watered the book down to Think and Grow Rich, which is actually this version, which I told you was, I told you it was 1912 or 1913. Let me tell you, let's see for sure. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the 1937 version. That's the one. Oh, forgive me for that mistake I made in the previous video. It's 1937. That's the version that you want to get. You see, just compare these two. Just compare these two. You know what? Maybe I should dig out. Hold on a second. I am going to dig this out. Give me 1 second. Because this you have to know this stuff. All right. Here we go. So here's Napoleon Hill's original work right here. This is the Law of Success in 16 Lessons. This was the book. This has everything that you need to know about success. Everything. And Henry Ford got this book pulled off the market because it had all of the secrets in here. And he didn't want this information to get out to the masses. So that book was watered down to this version, which is the 1937 version of Think and Grow Rich, which is still pretty thick. And this is the version that I highly recommend that you read. Law of Success, I highly recommend you read that too. But it's a lot of reading. And it's not an easy read. It's not an easy read. Let's just put it that way. So I highly recommend the 1937 version of Think and Grow Rich. This is the one that you want to read. And then, you know, same thing happened. They read this book. They see that all the power that it had, all the information that it had, because it's really like the most important aspects from that book. So they pulled this book off the market once again. And then they came out with this Think and Grow Rich, which is very, 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 very watered down. And this was a lot of the problem that I was having of reading this book over and over again and not having a lot of changes. Now, if you read this book, things will change in your life. If you read this enough, understand it, and apply it, things will change. I didn't read it enough. And then I didn't do what he said to do in this book. I didn't read it, apply it, and understand it. I didn't do that enough. That's why I didn't see changes come from this book. All right, but this is the one that you want. This is the one that you want. So I learned all that, and I made a commitment to read this book. And I started to understand it. Not only did I start to understand it, I had other things attracted to me to help me understand it, because I was starting to come across videos and people like Bob Proctor, who Bob Proctor has read this book for 30 years. He's been reading this book for over 30 years, and he still reads it today to have a thorough understanding of The Secret. That's that movie, The Secret, The Law of Attraction. It all comes from these books here. So I highly recommend that you read this. I still read it. I understand it, but I know there's deeper levels of understanding that I still need to apply. And by reading that book over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and working to understand it at a deeper level, and then applying it, I can see all the changes that are going on in my life. I can see the major shifts that have happened in my life because of that book. That is one of the most powerful books I have ever read in my life. There's only one book that I know of that's more powerful than that, and it's the Bible. And it's the Bible. But don't make the mistake like I made of just reading it one time and thinking I understand it. Reading it one time and not applying on any of the information and then expect things to change. You know, you want to read that over and over again and over again. You want this book and the principles in that book and the stories that are shared and the techniques and the strategies and the information and the ideas and the strategies. You want all of this stuff to become a permanent part of your subconscious mind so you can start to create success automatically. So I'm like a little sorry that I had to learn it the hard way, but hey, at the end of the day, I had to learn it, and whatever had to happen in the universe in order for me to learn this, I'm very grateful for that. And I'm telling you this because I want you to read this book. I want you to read it until you can understand it. I want you to read it until you can apply it. I want you to read it. I want you to take action, and I want you to get the things that you want out of your life. You know, remember, I told you my mission is to inspire, motivate, and empower millions of people to amplify their performance and reach their full potential no matter where they are or what they do, to create more leaders in the world. And this book will help you get where you want to go. So get Think and Grow Rich. Look it up. You could probably even find it for free on the internet somewhere, but I don't care what you have to do, as long as it's moral, legal, and ethical. Get a copy of this book, Think and Grow Rich, 1937 version. Start reading it today. Start to apply it. Start to take action, and you will be well on your way to success. I want you to like this video if you like what I had to say. I want you to share it with the people that you know could use this information. I hope you got value from this video. Leave me some comments. Leave me some questions. I'm looking forward to all the responses, and you have a fantastic day. Can't wait to see you on episode number, I think it's 13? Yeah, episode number 13 is coming up. Have a great day. Hey, my name is Rob Moore, reminding you to show up, step out, and shine. Now is your time, so make it shine. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic day.